All right, fellas. Welcome back to another BARB League channel segment here. As you guys all know, this part is all about interviewing all the possible managers that are available out here. Chris has made some time tonight. His team, Yuma Firebirds, joined the league from the get-go in 2003. And he mentioned he has only missed the playoff once so far in the history. So he's up there, I believe.
Twice.
Appearances twice now. His hope is 3 times this year, but he's actually 10 times in the World Series and has actually won it 6 times. So welcome, Chris.
That's 6 more than your partner over there, Mr. King, has.
No comment from the other side of the commission side.
I'll get you one day, you bastard.
Keep leaving Kershaw into the 7th, buddy.
One day it'll work for me.
It's just the Kershaw effect.
Hey, we're not here to talk. We're not here to talk about me.
There you go.
So, he'll be fine. He's rolling well.
So as you guys know, we're gonna go through the questions, revisit the votes that we kind of did the first video on, refresh Chris' memory, but I'm sure he doesn't need a lot of refreshing on that. He was easy on his answers. But anyway, we'll ask him and see if anything has changed after the drafts now. So, Chris, if I may, I'll start off with the first question here, which was, if not your team, who do you see winning the BARB title this year? To that, you answered Wallace's are the favorite, best pitching staff, smart ownership, intriguing offense. Has that changed now after the draft, or is it still the same?
Well, I can definitely tell you it's not going to be my brother's team, despite his rhetoric. But yeah, absolutely still the same. I mean, even though he lost Scherzer, I don't think that's going to bother him one bit. All it did was just clear up a bunch more cap space for him. I mean, his team only got better, I feel like, through the draft. He's smart and to pick up some. They do a good job of unearthing some of those starters. Obviously, Shane Bieber turned out to be a hell of a lot better than I imagined. Same with Zach Gallen, which I know he did trade for. Obviously, he took a few pitchers in the draft, even though I'm not high on Zach Eflin or Dalton Jeffries. Given their track record of throwing darts at the pitchers and seeing some of these guys stick, they just added more depth to their team. They're pretty well-rounded. I'd probably say the only flaw that they might have is they don't necessarily have the deepest roster in the league. I know a lot of people tend to value prospects and trades. So I'm kind of curious to see, how they might swing deals if they feel like that they have an area of need that occurs through injuries. But I mean, they're pretty creative and they're not afraid to make bold moves. I don't really see them having too many holes personally. I don't know their bullpen very well. But they're smart enough owners to patch together, so that would make it work.
Cool, good answer, short and sweet. Second question was, which team will be the season's dark horse? To that, you answered a team that has a deep offense, competent pitching staff, smart ownership, and a deep pool of near major league ready prospects, and that was referring to yourself, Yuma.
I was about to say that sounds awfully like my own answer. Like my own team.
Now with the draft, has that changed or still the same?
I mean, obviously I'm a little bit biased in the answer and I haven't spent a lot of time dissecting each team's rosters. But I look at the makeup of my team. I know that we're in an obviously tough division, but I think, hey, versus righties, I got 8 guys that I think are above average that I'm throwing at someone. Against lefties, I got at least 6. Pitching staff, once Talion comes back, I almost have a second rotation because depending on how Casey Mize and Nate Pearson perform, Kopech's throwing pretty well out of the pen. Maybe he'll get some starts. And Corbin Burns isn't even in my rotation because he was so goddamn fucking awful in 2019 that those numbers might take a while to rebound. And heck, I could technically even use Daniel Norris. So I feel like my pitching staff, while it doesn't quite have power arms, it's definitely going to be more of a pitch to contact staff. I think it's I think it's good enough to compete, mostly because my defense is pretty steady, especially the late game defense in the outfield. And I play in a really big park in Petco. And of course, I put a dome on it because no one likes wins. So trying to cater to the pitch to contact crowd. I just think it's a pretty deep roster, and I think I've proven to be a pretty smart and savvy manager of my team. I can definitely contend. Whether or not I win it, probably need a lot of things to break right, but I think I'll be in the playoff mix for sure, without a doubt.
Okay. Trying to keep yourself from not missing the playoffs 2 years in a row, then, right? That's bottom line.
Yeah, I don't honestly see that happening. I'll come straight out. I'd bet heavy money on my team making the playoffs.
There you go. I'll take a beta against that. So anybody reach out. Third question was, who do you see underperforming or not meeting expectations? Again, you were pretty straight on that one. You chose Clovis. It was a credible pitching staff with nice offensive pieces, but ownership struggles with understanding roster construction and management. Has the potential to be a good team, but offensive holes and lack of a bullpen will prevent them from succeeding. So again, same thing. After the draft, you think he still has some holes there to fill, or did he strengthen up?
Yeah, Kaufman, love the guy. He's entertaining as hell. But on the surface, he obviously has some big names on the offense, but there's just a lot of positions that I don't really feel like you'll have a credible or consistent bat. The bullpen, I don't really trust, which again, everyone, obviously there's always health concerns, but I wouldn't trust Zach Britton's health, nor would I trust, I don't know what to make of Joe Smith, having obviously missed all of last year and how he's going to perform this year. And then, Hansel Robles, there's probably a reason why he was a free agent for some period of time before some team picked him up. So I just, I think with this draft, he really failed to kind of augment the offense and the bullpen enough to make himself a credible contender. I would have done things differently if I were him. I've been pretty vocal about it to him as well. What I felt like he could have done is he should have been more aggressive in trading for some more offensive pieces. And I think with his draft, he should have just focused on rounding out that major league roster, because he really had a team that was that I feel like could have been a contender like my team with upside, because obviously he has, Wander Franco, and he's got Dylan Carlson, who are both, really, really talented. But, he's only 8 years into the league. He's still learning. So
a bit of a challenge there for him then.
It's my cheap shot at him, but
I wonder what made him make that move for Carlson. I was just thinking. Cool. No, appreciate it. Appreciate your answers. From here, I'll pass it on to King for the commissioner's corners and the two questions out there.
All right. So Luis and I have come up with 2 questions to ask everybody. First one is, what do you see as your team's biggest strength and biggest weakness heading into the year, whether gameplay wise or team construction?
I think in terms of team construction, I know I already touched on it kind of earlier, a little bit in depth, but I think my team's depth, I have a lot of options for pitching, both for starter and relievers, that can definitely kind of flip how my pitching staff might look, because obviously Kopech and Pearson and Corbin Burns can throw a hell of a lot harder than Pineda, Manea, and Yarbrough. But so there's definitely some potential to kind of remake the pitching staff mid-season without having to make a move. I think offensively, I just have a lot of bats. So I feel like I definitely can withstand injuries and maintain a pretty competent offense. And then, Kelenic, Marsh, they're not too far away from knocking on the door to the majors. They could be contributors. Guerrero's off to a nice start now. He's not even on my 26-man roster. So I feel like there's just, offense is clearly what my team is based around. And I'm just hoping that the ballpark helps augment the pitching staff. My defense is credible. I think I've had better units I feel like I had better units previously than this year's version, but my late game outfield defense would be pretty strong. So I hope that gives me an advantage. Being able to put Bradley in center, kicking Yaz to left, and with Betts in right, not a lot's going to get through. So I think I mean, in terms of, I guess, also strategy, I mean, I just kind of laid out the strategy part. We're just going to hopefully score a shit ton of runs and keep the ball in the park, and hope that leads to some success. Definitely, the one advantage I won't have this year is I won't have those guys like Garrett Cole and Chris Sale who who I can count on if my offense has an off night, that I can shut down the other team's lineups. That's definitely going to be very different for me, because I'm always used to having the edge and starting pitching. So it'll be uncharted territory, but this year was a little bit of a surprise that I just had the right, had a few breaks last year with things that went my way. Ronald basically handed me Mike Pineda because I guess he thought that Jeff Samardzija, was still going to be a top three or a mid to top of the rotation guy, which was a really awful and idiotic call, but that only benefited me. And no one touched Kevin Gausman, and I managed to kind of finagle Yarbrough from you and Alec Baum, and quietly picked up Clint Frazier and Mike Yaz. And next thing I know, I look at my team and I'm like, holy shit, man! Like I got a path to being kind of credible here, and clearly made a big push for Will Smith, and I feel like that kind of changed my fortune. So,
in my defense, I did not expect Justin Turner to be stolen. I was like, what? That was a blow. Hey, but my lessons in the draft here.
This decision, Kaufman, if you're listening, man, decision making, like, why the fuck did you do that, bro? Like, that money could have been better used elsewhere. But yeah, I this year, if you had asked me last year, I didn't think that my team would be in the position to contend this year, because my plan was to be patient. But you start to see the pieces line up ahead of time. You see what your salary is, and it's like, well, like, I got a path to contention. So I love to compete. So let's go for it.
That crackhead is started kicking in. Just,
oh man, just
you needed to get in.
I got the twitch, and I was like, I can always find another Jack Leiter. That's fine. You can take him.
All right, and then the second question, a bit less related to BARB. If you were an MLB player, what current or former player would you either try to emulate your game after, or would you say closely would resemble your play style?
I'm pretty sure you'll know the answer for current player. Joey Votto, without a doubt. Patient, smart, and just really fucking weird and awkward, and intense and blunt. And I think that kind of describes me in a lot of different ways. He's always just been a really fascinating guy. He focuses, if he commits himself to driving the ball, he'll hit 35 home runs for you. If he's deciding like, hey, I want to just, lace the ball between the gaps, he'll do that. I mean, the guy went 5 years without an infield pop-up, which I think is one of the most impressive things to do. And if anyone does have the Athletic, there's a fantastic article on him, kind of describing him as a person. And I can see some of myself in him, but I'm nowhere near Joey Votto's level, both in terms of skill, intellect, or wit. But I'd say I have a deep admiration for him, and I could definitely see myself. If I was a player, I guess trying to emulate some of those things. Don't really care what anyone else thinks. Here's my approach, and I'm going to stick with it. And if I feel like trying something else, I'm just going to do it because I can.
All right. Luis has got one extra thing for you, and then it'll be wraps up.
Yes, sir. So for your surprise question, obviously you're a well-respected manager. The 6 world titles show it. So if you could find one competitive team for, like, someone who's been competitive for like the last 2-3 years in a row, or just been right there, and based on your experience, you would just look at them and say, you know what, it's time to hit reset, forget what you're doing, just start fresh. Which competitive team would you just say, you know what, you got to stop what you're doing, start all over? What team would that be?
I say this every year, but he somehow always pulls it off. Hatfield. I look at Hatfield's roster, and Hatfield's described himself as, owners saying in the past that he's had some sort of magic. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, because I look at this collection of people, and you make these moves. I'm like, yeah, that's nothing to what I would have done, and yet he's always in the playoffs, and yet he's always losing to me, which is fine. But I gotta throw some shade, gotta talk some shit. But yeah, I give him credit. So, even though I feel like every time I see his roster and I don't know how he's piecing it together, it's like, well, he's obviously doing the best of both worlds. Like, he's still able to contend and continually have this super deep farm system. Sure, perhaps he's trying to have the best of both worlds, but which, for me, it's either all or nothing, right? I mean, I can't hate the guy. Like, I mean, if you can continue.
So it's not him then, right? So I'm talking about, like, you got to tell him, stop all the shit you're doing, hit reset, and start fresh. Because Hatfield's like, I think he's got everybody like this.
No, I mean, it's hard because I see some of the moves that he makes, and, I'm trying to, like, wrap my head around it. As in, like, why would he do that? And then, he'll make a move for another player to still be a competitor. And it's like, well, like, decide, like, either, like, go all in and try to win, or just, okay, like, if you're going to tear it down, then, like, tear it down, like, stop. I mean, hey, stop the foreplay, like, just get right down to it, man. Like, you're teasing me long enough, but no, he's, again, I give him all the credit in the world. He's managed to be an incredibly consistent contender, and he's had like 3 different teams, so he knows what he's doing. But if I were to compare him to an NFL team, I'd compare him to the Green Bay Packers. They always do the smart, responsible thing, always put money away in their 401k. They're always saving, they're always very smartly well run. They'll lose a piece, they'll add a piece. But it's like, hey, you've had, Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers for my entire life, and you've won 2 Super Bowls. Like, come on, man. Like, at least double that trophy case. So I guess I would like to see him, like, pick a more consistent direction, but it's even hard for me to just tell him to tear it down, because it's like, he always finds a way to contend. Like, even if he tried to tear it down, like, his team would still make the playoffs. So
I don't know. I'll leave it up to the other managers to criticize you on that answer, but it sounds like a little bit of a political answer. They're like, yeah.
No, it's he's the only guy that can pull it off, because, like, I look at Jay's team, look at Brownsville team, I'm like, yeah, they don't need to tear. I would love for them to tear it down, but their teams are stacked, like, their teams are good. Look at Andrews. Andrew, I don't ever think he could ever commit to a rebuild, because he's too much of a competitor. And his teams are always consistently good. And then everyone else in the league, I don't feel are at their level. Then there's Hatfield. He's always hovering, around there. And it's like, again, he would probably be like my team. He would say he's going to tear it down, and then he'll finish, like, either make the playoffs or finish a game out. So I don't know how to answer that. He probably could. If you had asked the reverse question, who should stop fucking around and, put their foot on the gas, and I could bring up a few teams.
That's too easy of a question, though. That's why I think a lot of us, including myself, see that. So,
because he'd say me, that he just shit on me for 15 minutes.
No. It'd be some other members of the family, that's for sure.
Oh man! All right, guys. Well, I think that wraps it up. Anything else, Anthony, coming to you?
No, that's it for me.
No. All right, Chris. Appreciate your time. Thank you guys for watching this, and we'll be staying tuned for the next section of this.
Hey, just remember, Anthony.
Good thing he didn't use the middle finger.
He's my white whale. That's what Chris is.
Moby Dick or white whale?
The same. It's all the same.
Hey, Moby wins this time.
There you
All right.
go. Take it easy, guys.
All right, see you guys.